I don't want anybody to feel like they can't go to an airport Kentucky Fried Chicken, which to me is what's left of this country. What's left of this country, if you are not insanely wealthy, is in the Miami airport, there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken and there's a Pizza Hut right next to it. And the Pizza Hut, the pizzas have been left under the warmer for so long that the cheese is all browned and it's like a scab. It's like skin. When the woman cuts it, she's cutting through the skin of a once great empire. And next to it, there are people that are eating chicken sandwiches before they get on a flight. Before it's the last thing they remember of America. Before they go back to Santo Domingo or wherever they're going, they get greasy fried chicken and eat it with mashed potatoes and macaroni and cheese before they get on a plane. And then they touch the plane seats with their greasy fingers. But I want everyone to have that experience. I don't want anyone to not have that experience. I want you to be able to take your kids to laser tag. I want your kids to be able to get addicted to drugs. I want you to be able to put them in a program. I want you to be able to become friends with the woman who runs that program, who's named Jennifer, who's a little fat, who's an ex-alcoholic but owns a bar. And you go, that doesn't really make sense, but whatever. You know, the kids really like her. And I want you to drop your kids off at that program every Wednesday. And then I want your son to tell you that he's really excited because he has a month sober and you're really proud of him. And you go out to a dinner and everybody's still very anxious because it's only a month sober, but it's still really cool that he did it, you know? And then fat Jennifer, the fucking weird ex-alky but still owns a bar that runs the program, is at the dinner too. And your son's 16 and she's 28. And then eventually, you know, you find out that Jennifer's pregnant with your son's child, okay? And she's going to have his baby. And instead of putting her in jail, you've researched the consent laws and you decide to just let it go. You decide to actually let it go. You decide to let it go because you think a baby actually might be a good thing and it might keep your son on the right track. You decide to let it go. You decide to let the molestation of your son at the hands of his drug counselor go. And you have that baby. And that baby is very cute and it's very fat and it's chubby and it doesn't know where it is. And you realize when you see that baby that this is the promise of new life. This is the promise of America, and this is the greatness. Your 16-year-old son was molested by his drug counselor, Jennifer, but he is sober now, and he's working construction. But Ron DeSantis has now instituted the E-Verify in Florida, which means your son can no longer work at the construction job. He comes home, and he's upset, and you can smell the beer on his breath, the cerveza. And he's angry, and you say, son, why? Why aren't you at work? You have a baby. And your son goes, because Ron DeSantis is enforcing E-Verify, which means I need a social security number in order to work. And you're like, fuck, this is fucked up. Shit, my undocumented son who's molested by his drug counselor, who had this very cute little baby, is working every day at a construction site, which has now been shut down because Ron DeSantis has instituted E-Verify, meaning that my son cannot go to his construction job to pay for the baby he had with his fucking drug counselor who molested him. What a uniquely American situation. And then you start going, well, what can my son do? What can your son do? It's so hard, right? He can't do anything official. So listen, he starts moving a little bit of weight. He starts selling drugs. And in the beginning, you judge him for it. You judge him for it because at the end of the day, you say, fuck, you know, isn't there anything else he can do? But then he starts bringing home some money. And then there's a new crib. And then he was able to actually pay for a new bathroom for you in your little house. And you're like, wow, this is kind of amazing. And, you know, at the end of the day, we have so much money now, even if he gets caught and locked up, which God forbid, ay Dios mío, you would never want to happen. Even if he gets locked up, you still have enough money to care for that little chubby baby that he got. And his wife comes around every now and then to see the kid. They're no longer together, which makes sense. I mean, these teacher-student things don't last. But she comes around and you've smacked her up a few times. She's a drunk, and she comes there all sloppy and drunk with her tits out, and you go, listen, you're lucky you're not in jail, you fucking rapist. A pedophile. And you go, pedophile, in that, like, Venezuelan accent. And she comes around to see the baby, but you let her see her baby. And your son's finally making good money selling drugs because Ron DeSantis made him not a construction worker. And your son actually says to you sometimes, like, yeah, I used to fucking make the construction. Now I'm the king. And you go, actually, to be honest with you, he's doing very well. And your son sells all of this cocaine. And he starts actually, you know, he's got this street team of kids doing it for him. And he's very smart. And he has this system where as soon as anyone gets caught, he kills them. So they don't rat on him. He actually kills them. They're 13, they're 14. He kills them all so they can't rat on him. And it's very heartless. But people are willing to take the chance because he's paying them so much money. He's paying them an inordinate amount of money to do this. They get much higher percentages than any street runner kids do, but they know they have the chance. If they get caught, they get rocked. And he uses younger and younger children because they evade the police. So he's using 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds to sell coke, and every now and then he has to kill one of them. And you kind of know this because you've heard it from people, but you refuse to really look at the ins and outs of his business because it doesn't really matter, you know? And you remember coming to America, and you remember, you know, how hard it was, and you're still undocumented, and you've been cleaning toilets and fucking folding laundry, and you know how tough it is, and all you want is to have that American dream. And your son is ironically having that dream by building a cocaine empire, okay? And he's working with white people now and business owners. He's laundering money because they get involved too. And, you know, he's hanging out with political people, and then eventually he gets you all citizenship. Your son gets you all citizenship by being a cocaine dealer and servicing very well. Because your son also, and I hate to say this, I don't want to say this, the children that are selling cocaine, he's also pimping out to high-end business people and political leaders. So your son is a human trafficker as well now. He's a human trafficker, and you hate the idea of that, but he's doing so well. He's doing so well. He's a human trafficker and a narco trafficker, and he's doing well, though, and he's getting respect, right? And then he decides to run for Congress. Your son decides to run for Congress, and you're so proud of him, and you're crying, and he gets elected, of course. Why not? He's an undocumented guy who became documented, who went through the process, who fought his way up. And, you know, people don't really know exactly how he made his money, but it's just construction or real estate. And at the end of the day, when you're standing there, when he first becomes a congressman, and he's done it on the bodies of children, on the bodies of women, on the bodies of the poor, on the bodies of families. He's done it with drugs. He's done it with human trafficking. I want you to see when he takes that photo and that still moment in time where he becomes a congressman, he's done it just like everyone else has. He's an American now, and so are you. And I want you to have that experience. I do. I want you to have that experience as someone who comes to our country. I want your son to have that chance. And I don't know if it's going to work out like that, but I want your kid to have that chance of becoming a drug dealer, a human trafficker, and then a congressman. That's what I want, because that is the American fucking dream. Okay?